Okay, so let's start the session. And yesterday we have been discussing about this paper, right? We have seen the major changes in ROS 2, and we have seen the architecture, or like how the client libraries work in ROS 2 from this diagram we have seen. And these are the important points that we have discussed yesterday, like a comparison table, rows 1 and rows 2, and what are the things that is not in rows 1 which is available in rows 2, and what are the good things and bad things. Okay, so we have basically seen the comparison, and when you check this table, you can see rows 2 is having more features compared to rows 1, and not only features, I mean the features that is suitable for a product, that is the correct usage. Like rows 1 will work with robots, but it is not fine-tuned for a product, or it is not designed to work in a product, but rows 2 does that. Okay, and one point that is not mentioned in this diagram, I mean in this table, is a security. Okay, so the security is again a big problem. So there is a mentioning about the security here. If you just go down, you can see about the security aspect of the rows 2. So basically, while we work with rows 1, they try to, one second, okay, let me close some tabs. Yeah. In rows 1, if you just search about rows 1 security, you will get some package that can be used for making your robot secure. Okay, so one of the famous package for creating security in rows 1 is SROS. Okay, so why we need a package to make our rows 1 robot secure? Because if you have a rows 1 based robot, it can hack very easily. Okay, it can hack very easily. Why? What is the reason for hacking? I mean, what is the reason for easy hacking? Because you know how the row system works, right? If you connect to a rows based robot somehow, okay, all other things are exposed. Okay, for example, if you imagine there is a rows based robot, and somehow you are connecting to the network of the robot. You can do it in many ways. You can connect through Wi-Fi, or maybe you can connect to LAN, or in any method you can connect to the robot. Okay, so once we connect to the network, um, you can easily tap the details of the rows 1 robot, because everything is publishing as topics, so you can simply SSH into the robot and you will get all the things. Okay, there is no encryption, or there is no encoding, anything available in a rows 1 based robot. So that's why this package called SROS, which is like adding some security layers on the top of the robot, and I mean top of the robot stack, and this will work, but the main problem is that um, this will add a lot of latency in the network, and also it's not that well maintained. Okay, it's like a what will I say, like workaround for making the robot secure. Okay, and there are a lot of changes required for the same package. Okay, because of the maintenance problem, I mean, it's not properly maintained. I mentioned, right. So we can't rely on this package. But this is the main package that is available in ROS 1 to create some sort of security for your robot. Okay. If you're working on a product, security matters, right? Like if imagine you create a robot, okay, and if anyone can simply log into your robot and uh, hack it and do some bad things using that, then it's a big problem, right? Okay, like taking out his control and do some stuff. Especially, I remember one thing, that is hacking of the Tesla cars. Okay, if you um, simply search for um, Tesla hack, there are some people already done hacking. You can see here, hackers could remotely turn off lights, honk, mess with Tesla infotainment system. Okay, it's specifically for the infotainment, but somehow if the hackers can penetrate to the Tesla software, basically the Tesla is everything is like programmatically controlled, right? There is a screen on the front of the Tesla, and everything is controlled and visualized in the screen. So somehow if we can access to the Tesla network somehow, I don't know, but somehow if we can penetrate, then maybe you can access the Tesla features. Okay, so you can even drive. Okay, a remote hacker can drive the car. Okay, so this is a situation for the Tesla, and Tesla is like one of the best product in the world, right? Best car in the world, electric car in the world. So if that is a situation for Tesla, then if you create a robot by ourselves, or if you are planning to create, what will be the security? It can be, if it can be easily hacked, then it's a problem. Okay, so ROS 2 is giving, I mean, is solving that problem, because the security is already included in the DDS layer. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the security aspect, because DDS is having very good security layers on the top of it. Okay, so that is also solved. Okay, so main things you can see, the ROS 1 to ROS 2, they are trying to solve main things like security, then improved communication, peer-to-peer communication. Then they try to avoid the single point of failure, which is ROS core. Then then they made the client libraries little bit, I mean, the performance will be almost the same, because it is inheriting from a underlying C library. Okay, and there are some other changes. So you can mainly think about these changes, and also there are description of these changes. You can simply go through it. So I prefer you to read the entire paper once, and if you just go down, you can able to find these performance results, which is also I mean, a things to notice, because if you buy a phone or if you buy some laptops, you will check the benchmark, right? So this is a kind of benchmark. So if you want to select some framework for your robot, is it good for our application? Because imagine the nature of application that we are working will be different. For example, if you are working on an outdoor mobile robot, the requirement of that robot is different compared to an indoor robot. So the requirement mainly like the communication bandwidth, the latency, then the communication, the channel, communication channel, and also the reliability of the network. For example, if the Wi-Fi is um, uh, like if the signals strength is very low, then that can affect the communication, right? So we can just imagine there are different kinds of scenarios can happen uh, based on the type of robot that we are going to build. So here it's simply um, showing some graph, like one graph is for mean latency, one graph is for mean CPU, one graph is sending rate, then number of message, again number of message. Yeah, this is, these things, the bottom three having different message sizes, I guess. So on the top you can find for the mean latency, um, when the message size increases, okay, if you are planning to send a text message, text like hello world or something, the latency is, approximately 0. Okay, it's very low. But if the size increasing like 1 MB, 2 MB, 4 MB, 8 MB, you can see the latency is also increasing, like it's in millisecond. Okay, so from 2 to 8, it's actually a very sharp, it's actually a rise, you can see. I don't know which DDS they have used. They may be mentioning that, but it seems like I don't know which DDS they are using, but the average behavior will be almost like this. Okay. Let me check. Yeah, they mention here. They have been using Intel i7 for doing this benchmark, which is having 3.4 gigahertz with 32 GB of RAM. Then it was running on Fedora and using Cyclone DDS. Okay, so the benchmark that we are seeing in the paper is Cyclone DDS, and with the latest ROS 2 rolling. I think I already mentioned about the rolling distribution. It's a latest packages, latest code. Okay, so if you are installing the ROS 2 rolling, you will get the latest one. Okay, latest update. But the problem about the latest distribution is very unstable. It will have bugs, so we can't directly use it for the products, but you can use it for experimentation. Okay, yes. So 1 second. Okay, fine. So Cyclone DDS, the behavior is like this, and the CPU usage, that's also we need to talk about, which is very important. If you are sending a message size like maybe greater than 512 KB, you can see the usage is actually increasing. So you can find 3 graph. The red is for inter-process, then this is intra-process and single process. So I think the inter-process, from the word itself, we know the communication between different process. Intra-process, here the inter-process can be like the process can be in a different computers as well. Inter-process. In intra-process, I think it's happening in the same PC. Like it may be working like nodelets, like the same PC. So the latency will be much less compared to the I think, yeah, in the process is red, right? So that is what we are seeing on the top. The inter-process latency will be higher, and the intra-process, it's actually very less. It's mainly like intra-process mainly using the shared memory and all, so it will be much faster compared to the inter-process. Inter-process mainly using the DDS, and like if the other node is on other PC, then there will be Wi-Fi or some communication channels are coming. So there will be difference when we communicate over the Wi-Fi channel, but if it is in the same PC, it will be better, I guess. Yeah, that is my understanding. Yeah, there is a question from Tejas. What is the default DDS that comes with ROS 2? Yeah, so the default DDS actually fast RTPS. Before that, I think when ROS 2 started, I think it was Cyclone, but currently it's fast RTPS. Maybe we can check it. Default. Let me double check it. My memory is correct. I think it is fast RTPS. Let me check. There are multiple one, but when we work with, for example, if we are working with MoveIt or something, we have to switch to Cyclone DDS. So that is not the Cyclone DDS is not the default one. I think it's fast RTPS or something. That is what. Yeah, fast RTPS, I guess. But it is not mentioned here. Oh, fast DDS or fast RTPS, I guess. See, fast DDS. But that is not suitable for all the applications that we are working. So this is the, yeah, you can see fast DDS or fast RTPS. That is a former name. Okay, so this is the default DDS available. But for some application, like I mentioned, for MoveIt or something, if you check the MoveIt, mainly the MoveIt installation, and if you check the installation, one second, they clearly written we have to change to Cyclone DDS for better performance. Okay, I will show you that. Okay, yeah, here. So if you're working with the fast RTPS or fast DDS, if you're planning to work with MoveIt, the Cyclone DDS will be a better choice. Okay, so this is the flexibility that ROS 2 gives to us in order to replace your DDS. Simply install the DDS package. If it is already installed, you don't need to do it again. So Cyclone DDS is not installed by default, so you have to install it, and then you have to set a environment variable. Sorry, environmental variable. So there is an environmental variable that we have to put in the bash RC. So you can see the RMW implementation equal to RMW Cyclone DDS CPP. Then if you open another terminal, the Cyclone DDS will be the DDS for your ROS 2. Okay, so that is what this graph also showing to us. One second. So if you check it, this is the benchmark of Cyclone DDS. But if you benchmark another DDS, you will get a different graph. Okay, so based on the benchmark, you can decide which DDS will be suitable for our application. Okay, so here the intra process, a single process, I think it's mentioned here, but from my understanding, it's a communication inside the process. Like we already know the ROS2 can work. I mean, two nodes, multiple nodes can run on the same process, single process, right? So single process, it should be like the communication in the same process. So you can see the intra process is having less latency because it's using the shared memory, and the single process, it's not using shared. I mean, it may be using the some kind of encoding and decoding, so it may be using again more time to send, and that is also reflecting in the CPU chart. So the inter process communication, like the communication between different nodes, it's taking more CPU. Okay, and also the sending rate, it's like sending rate is declining based on the data size. So basically, from the three chart, we got an idea like when the data size is high, obviously there is a CPU spike, there is a decline, or there is an increase in the latency. I mean, latency or delay, you can say, and the sending rate will be also dropping out. Okay, and this is like the number of messages sent with the time. So it's showing the packet loss actually. Okay, so when the so this case, no, I think for the latency test, you can see the packet loss corresponding to it. For the CPU with different messages actually. Oh, wait a second. Okay. So the packet loss chart, it's showing number of messages sending, and with the time, there is 0 packet loss, and here there are like, I mean, 10% packet loss, and here 20%. So these three charts showing different message sizes. Okay, so I assume that the left side chart may have a lesser bandwidth or lesser size message, but it seems like when the message size increase, the packet loss also high. So we can also correlate, like if we are sending high bandwidth messages, there can be packet loss. Okay, so that so different message sizes, yeah, I think that is what it's showing. So we got some idea, like I will say the behavior is almost like, I mean, ROS1 is also having this kind of behavior, but the communication is more reliable in ROS2 compared to ROS1. ROS1 is using a different or like a custom based protocol, which is not that good compared to the DDS. Okay, so yeah, there are different benchmark available for different DDS. So it will be great if you can just have a look onto it to get a clear-cut idea. And after the benchmark, they are talking about some big companies who are using ROS2. Okay, so Ghost Robotics, it's like they are using quadruped for military purpose, and this company was actually made some, I mean, um, yeah, there was some problem with this company, mainly due to they actually put a AK-47 gun, some military equipment on the top of the robot. Okay, so a lot of people, they are not interested in using robot as a weapon. Okay, so there were a lot of issues around the ghost robotics, I guess. This is using for military purpose, but not for harming people. Okay, so when they put a AK-47 or some rifles on the top of the robot, there were a lot of issues because it's not ethical, right? Yeah. And Auto Robot, Automotors, it's from Canada. They for warehouse, they're also using ROS 2, and also they're like mentioning some companies that is using ROS 2. So yeah, there's a lot of work happening in ROS 2. So but still, I will say even there are works happening in ROS 2, there are still problems. Okay, so don't directly jump into ROS 2 unless if you have a I mean clear cut idea about it. Like, imagine if you're planning to work on specific module, maybe OpenCV, then MoveIt or navigation stack in ROS 2. You should be aware of the issues, existing issues of navigation stack. Okay, so better to do some research, like the research like how stable it is. So if you're planning to work with navigation stack in ROS 2, how stable it is, and what are the existing projects. So these things will help you to get a confidence. Okay, like if you are working on a MoveIt, how stable it is, what is the website, what is the MoveIt website says about the stability, and what are the expected bugs. Like if you check the website or GitHub of MoveIt, you can able to see different bugs. So so these are the things that we have to taken care. So there is a question from Tejas. Can you share some insight on issue in Nav2? Yeah. So yeah. So navigation stack. I think you may heard about the Nav2 from maybe from LinkedIn or maybe from YouTube. There are a lot of tutorials, and also there are a lot of buzz thing happening around Nav2. So currently there is a company called Dextore. They are based in UK. There was it was a startup, but then they have a, I mean, they initially started with some product, but then after that they changed to some other. Currently they heavily funded, and they are sponsoring Nav2. And Nav2, the issues are like, if you are using Nav2, Nav2 is like Lego kind of stuff, I will say. Okay, because we have to put each module in navigation stack, even for ROS 1 or ROS 2. For example, in order to do the global planning or local planning, we have to insert a planner, right? And if we want to do some some controller, we have to add that. So basically, the navigation stack 2, it's like a template kind of stuff, and using that template, you can insert a lot of stuff into it. It's a very modular kind of framework. So there is a advantages and also the disadvantages. So even MoveIt 2 and Nav2 is like almost same architecture. Like there is a main node which is managing it, and then there are some sub modules like controller, planner, then collision avoidance, etc. There are many sub modules. So the stability of the individual modules can affect the entire navigation stack. Like if you are using an existing planner which is not stable, then it can affect the entire navigation. But in nav2, from my understanding, there is a very active community around this framework or around this package. So even for MoveIt, there are active developers. The MoveIt is actually maintained by Picnic Robot, and nav2 by Open Navigation LLC. Currently, they changed. They created an organization called Open Navigation LLC, which is funding by these companies. Okay, so mainly the author of nav2 is Steve McKenzie, and he started Open Navigation LLC. Okay, and the core issues we can simply find it from the GitHub itself. So, but the good thing is that there are active developers. You can see 62 issue, and 62 is open actually. Okay, but the good thing is that 1533 is closed. Okay, so the closing rate is high. Closing means it's got resolved somehow. So 62 is still open, but if you check the date, 2022, and it's good because a lot of people are using it, right? So if you check the star and fog, it's 1.6k stars for navigation 2. Okay, which is good actually, which is good in the sense we can't compare with these things with OpenCV or ROS 1, because OpenCV is having, I think, 70k stars or something. It started before 20 years or something, so it will have that much. You can see here it is having 70k star. Okay, so compared to OpenCV, it is less, but navigation stack actually started before like 3-4 years, so which is good. Okay, but there are active community, and even if you start using it, one difficulty is getting stuck in somewhere, and not availability non-availability of the tutorials. Okay, they actually mentioned some tutorials on the website, that is good, but while doing stuff, while prototyping everything, we will be stucking around a lot of stuff. Okay, there are some good tutorials in the YouTube, but that is not enough, obviously. So the main support point for nav2 or MoveIt will be, you can post it in the issues. I usually do that because of two things. If you post the issue in GitHub, it will be kind of documented in GitHub. Okay, so people will have benefit from that, because if you are getting the same issue, and if I'm googling the issue, I will get the GitHub issue link. So I got resolved many issues from the solution providing the closed issues here. Okay, so make sure if you are finding some bugs in ROS 2 or something, just go to the GitHub and then give a good heading and a description, and someone will support you. Okay, this is posted before 1 hour, so yeah, I think someone will support. Yeah, so we have been talking about the this one. Yeah, these are the companies, and this actually released in 2021 or something, this paper. 22, yeah, 22. So there are a lot of companies, other companies working on ROS 2. They are migrating from ROS 1 to ROS 2. Someone are reluctant because I know personally, I recently got a project inquiry from a government organization. They are reluctant to work with ROS 2 because their entire system is in ROS 1. Okay, and what they are planning is that the libraries or the algorithms that they need is not available in ROS 2. Okay, but in ROS 1 there is, because there is a legacy of like 15 years for ROS 1. So there will be a lot of framework available with ROS 1. So that's why I actually pushing you to learn ROS 1 and ROS 2. Okay, okay, like if you learn ROS 1, then if the client or if your employer or if your researcher, a professor want to do something on ROS 1, you can easily prototype it. And if you learn ROS 2, it's easy to migrate, and also you can even port packages from ROS 1 to ROS 2. So you will have the superpower to do all the ROS based project. Okay, yes, so that is the intention. So I just have a request, like just go through it and create a foundation of ROS 2, like what it is and what are the key changes. It will be good for you. Okay, and I'm just closing this paper and jumping into some practical stuff. So recently I had ROS 2 installation in my VMware, but VMware is having some problem in that virtual machine, I mean specific virtual machine. So I decided to reinstall or create a new VM with 22.04 and install ROS 2 Humble using the single line script. I was using that single line installation, and it seems like the installation is finished. While taking the class, the installation was going on. Let me just type ROS 2. Yeah, it seems like the installation is working. We can get back to that. So I hope you also tried this single line of code. In order to install, just copy and paste in the terminal. Okay, I basically created this script. It's a very simple script, not that much complexity, but it is very useful because while learning ROS 2, we may make some mistake, and maybe the VM can crash. So if you want to reinstall everything fastly, I think this kind of script will be helpful. Okay, so that's why I have giving importance to this kind of script. Okay, so this is 22.04, and I hope you have done with the installation. And if you've done the installation, the first thing is like I prefer to follow the official tutorial from Rhodes. Okay, because if you practice it using the official link, then you can also like take the same, because if I am creating some extra stuff, it will be dependent on this course. Okay, but if you are practicing the official tutorial, you can do that later. I mean, you will have an idea how to do this stuff and all. Okay, so we have seen the installation yesterday. Okay, we are only interested in Ubuntu now, Ubuntu 22.04. That is showing here, and I can explain what is going on in the installation. Okay, just mentioning what is happening. It's almost same as the ROS 1. it's like first we have to do some setting the environment, um, like this is the encoding, character encoding, right? UTF-8. So we have to make sure we have the UTF-8 encoding. Okay, so that is what my understanding. Maybe we can simply Google it. Yeah, it's like a character encoding standard. So in these lines of code for the installation, we are setting UTF encoding in Linux. So in order to verify, you can simply use a command called locale, and if you simply paste it, you can find where is it? Yeah, the language, everything, and one second. Yeah, this is how it is identifying, like the locale is actually printing this output, and I don't know like where it is showing the encoding. Let me see. Yeah, we have to export. Yeah, this is a temporary thing. Second. Yeah, what we are doing here is first we are checking for UTF, and then we are installing some the ENUS and the UTF packages, and then we are like verifying the settings. So I don't know what was a setting in locale before that, okay, because I already completed all these things. Okay, so first we will check for UTF, then we will do this and then verify the settings. So this is the final settings that we get after executing these lines of code. Okay, it's basically for a character encoding. After that, we are doing the same setup that is mentioned in ROS 1. Like the ROS 2 packages are keeping in some servers. Okay, some server. Somehow we have to download this package. Okay, so how to do that? We have to set the repositories, Ubuntu repositories. So we have some tools called software properties, like maybe you may have seen this. If you check the software updates in Ubuntu, you can see something. One second. Let's wait for some time. Yeah. Restart later. Oh. Software updates. I think it's changed. Let me check the additional drive. Oh yeah, it's in the settings, I guess. Yeah. Software updates. If you just take just search for updates, and if you take the software updates, oh, it's again taking time. Yeah, after this you will get a window, right? You can take the settings, and then you can see here it's showing other softwares, Ubuntu softwares. So in order to get the packages, specifically ROS 2 packages, they're saying you have to enable Universe. Okay, Ubuntu Universe repository. Okay, so in order to do that from GUI, you can simply tick it. Okay, you can simply tick it. So you can see here Universe is ticked. Okay, so that is the first thing. So then only we can fetch the packages, and then to download we need some software keys. Okay, software keys, which is making the download safer. For example, if you are downloading something from a server, maybe in order to avoid or in order to add some extra security, we need to get some security key, some kind of key. So if we have the key, then we will get the packages. Okay, so that is what I think. It's the same with rows 1. So we are like downloading the key. Okay, and also we are adding the rows 2 repository to the sources.list. Then only Ubuntu can find out the packages. Okay, so like if you do the sudo apt update, what happening is that the Ubuntu will be checking, the apt package manager will be checking the repositories in the sources.list. Okay, and it will be listing down the packages from that repository. Okay, so after adding the repository, if you do the update, you can able to see the packages of rows. Okay, so in order to view the list of packages, I will suggest you to install the Synaptic Package Manager, the old Synaptic Package Manager that we are using. So I'm just installing using apt. 1 second. So if you want to install a package using Synaptic, and if you want to avoid this do you want to continue option, you can simply add -y. I can show you that. We install Synaptic. So if you want to install HTOP, okay, which is a process monitor, if you add -y, then it will be installing directly without asking like do you want to install or not. Okay, so if you write shell script and all, okay, if you write shell script, it will be better to add -y. I can show you the shell script that we are using for rows 2. So it is using the -y thing, because otherwise it will be always asking for the permission whether you want to install this package or not. Okay, so I can show you. This is the shell script. It's a very simple shell script. When you go through it, you will understand. I just want to show you the apt install command, so you can see -y. So meaning this package will be installed without asking like whether you want to install that or not. So I have used -y in all the install command. Okay, even for the main rows install, I'm using that. Okay, just an addition. I mean just an add-on that I just mentioned. So after updating, what happening is that yeah, you will get the packages. Okay, so if you simply check the Synaptic Package Manager, that is already installed here, and if you search for ROS, mostly you can able to see the packages. You have to just scroll down. L and yeah, you can find the rows humble packages. Okay, here these are the list of packages that is available in the server. Okay, so I'm just closing it, and you can see the next command, which is sudo apt upgrade. Okay, so this will be good if you do it, it will be good, because if you do the sudo apt upgrade, all of your Ubuntu packages will get the upgrade. Okay, so Ubuntu packages get an upgrade, and the rows 2 packages will also get an upgrade. So we will be working on the newly updated system. Okay, so why this is important? There is a reason for that. Like if you are working with different versions of rows packages, rows 2 packages, and different versions of Ubuntu libraries or something, then there can be unexpected behavior. For example, some of the ROS2 packages got upgraded, okay, but some of the Ubuntu packages not upgraded, but this ROS2 package may be dependent on that Ubuntu latest package, okay. So sometime when you upgrade the ROS2 package, it will be automatically mark the Ubuntu package, sometime not, okay. That depends on the author. Some authors will do that, some authors may not. So maybe you will get an unexpected behavior. So it will be good if you can upgrade the system together for the better performance, or to reduce the the complications. Okay, sometimes you will not understand what is going on. Okay, that may be because of the not updated packages. Okay, after upgrading, you can install the ROS Humble Desktop, okay, which is actually recommended, which is having the ROS installation, RVs, demo tutorials and all. And this is for the basic versions. Basic version means it will only have the communication library. So if you want to work with Raspberry Pi and ROS2, you can install the bare bones, okay, just having the communication things. And yeah, so that's it. That's about the installation. And there is some tools, build tools available. Yeah, so this is also important because the ROS dev tool, no, the ROS dev tool installing some of the build tools like Qualcomm, I guess. I need to recheck that. Maybe I can check it from Synaptic, because if you create a package in ROS2, we have to build that package, right? We have to build that package. So in ROS1, we have been using the Catkin make. I hope you remember that. In ROS2, the build tool that we are using is Qualcomm, which is the latest tool, build tool that we are using. And when we enter Qualcomm, it will do the same stuff that the Catkin make does. Okay, so let me check the ROS dev package, dev tool package. Let me double check whether it is installing the Qualcomm. Let me check. So ROS dev tool properties installed. Yeah, I was right. So you can check. If you install ROS dev tool that is mentioned, this is super important, guys. Don't stop after installing ROS. Like, don't stop. You need this one as well. Okay. So like if you check the ROS dev tool package, it is depend on these much of packages, and you can check there is Python 3 Qualcomm common extension, ROS build essential, Python 3 VCS tool, Python 3 Bloom. So these packages are important to build the package. Then ROSDEP is important. ROSDEP is mainly using for installing the dependent packages. Like, imagine you are creating a package, and if that package is having some dependency, okay, for example nav2, if your package is dependent on nav2, the ROSDEV will be automatically finding that and then installing nav2. Okay, so we don't need to install that manually. Okay, then Python 3 Bloom is for releasing your package. Okay, then Qualcomm is actually for building the packages. Okay, so yeah, so after that I think we are almost done, but again a very important step remaining, which is the sourcing. Okay, I hope you remember the importance of sourcing, because if you don't source the setup.bash on this /opt ROS humble setup.bash, you can't able to access the ROS command. Okay, So if you install the script now, it will be adding everything. For example, if you check this sourcing command, and if you just go down, you can able to see the installation added the source command. Okay, source command. So after this, we are ready to go, and you can able to access the ROS2 commands. So basically, I can talk about ROS2 development. I mean the command line interface and all, but the base command in ROS2 is ROS2 itself. Okay, I can show you some examples. I'm not explaining that, so you will get an idea. So if you want to work with that talker and listener, in ROS1 it was like ROS run space ROS CPP tutorial tutorial talker. Okay, this was the format, right? In ROS2, this is the format. Okay, this is the change in the command line. Okay, the ROS run or ROS topic or ROS service, it's actually they disassemble that. That's the word that I'm using. Meaning here, if you check the ROS run, run is the action that we have to do. If you do the ROS topic, the main thing is the topic, right? ROS is just a namespace. So they detach that main action from the namespace. Okay, so it's like in ROS1, ROS space run ROS CPP tutorial talker. Okay, or you can see. Okay, so this is one usage that can be used in ROS1. Okay, they can think about this usage, but in ROS1 they use like ROS run. Oh, one second. They use ROS run, but in ROS2 we are using ROS2 space run. That is the main difference. Okay, so using this technique, you can run the nodes. Okay, the package name here for the example is demo nodes CPP, which is clearly mentioned here. Okay, so after doing all this installation, you can check the installation is proper by simply running these hello world nodes. So just observe, I didn't run any ROS core here. You can see ROS2 run demo nodes talker. So the hello world is printing with a delay of 1 second, and here we are doing the listener ROS2 run demo nodes listener. Okay, and you can observe this is from CPP. Okay, this is a CPP node and this is a Python node. Okay, so we have successfully ensured that the installation is correct and everything is running properly. So you can just make sure, guys, the installation on your system is also correct by doing this, and then we can start doing the tutorial. Okay, so for today I think we can conclude the session. Maybe next week we can start with the tutorials. So I hope you got an idea about the installation, then the research paper, and I mean an abstract idea will be fine, and then we can start with the tutorials next week, hopefully. Okay, I'm not sure next week I can do, that is 29th and 30th, right? Maybe 13th will be fine, or and 31st maybe we can do. 29th I have a function. Okay, I will announce the date soon. Okay, so let me know if you have any doubts in the installation and the basic concept. After that, we can conclude for today, and then next class we can start working on the tutorials. Let me know if you have any question, guys. Any questions? You can type or like you can ask.
What are the major issues with the ROS 2? Any disadvantages?
Issue, I mean, I will not say issue. Currently, feature wise, then I mean, when we compare to ROS 1, everything is good for ROS 2. But in the current scenario, the problem is that the legacy framework, that is ROS 1, it's already completed 15 years. So you can imagine the number of packages, repositories, projects associated with ROS 1. So obviously the community is bigger in ROS 1, but the migration is happening. And if you migrate to ROS 2 now, the community, I mean, the support will not that much high compared to ROS 1. Okay, and you can expect bugs as well. Okay, so make sure before jumping into
I mean to say like design wise, like we have
design
the
wise everything
ROS.
is, yeah, design wise everything is good, everything is good compared to ROS 1. Yeah, there is no I mean I don't have any negative to say in ROS 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like if we see ROS 1, we have the single point of single failure in ROS 2 that we solved.
yeah, yeah.
So something like when ROS 3, somebody says ROS 2 also some might be there. So I'm just asking if that has
No,
any burning issues, any architecture wise when they are moving from our ROS 1 to ROS 2.
uh, I mean, you mean the difficulties or
Yes, yes, yes. Industrial difficulties they
yeah.
are going to have attend in the ROS 2 implementing. So any kind such kinds which are upcoming.
Uh, I don't think so. Like there are difficulties, but yeah, like when we start working on the product, I think then you we experience a lot of stuff. I mean, as of now, we are just learning, right? We are just working on the basic concepts and all. But once we start working on a product, then I think it will be more complicated because we have to check about how to implement the real timeness in our robot if it is required, then security, then the reliability of the communication. All these things we have to dig deep. But ROS 2 offers that, like the quality of service. Like if you send a message from one node to another, there is QoS we can set. Like that was not that great in ROS 1. So if we check the features and also the difficulties, I will say ROS 2 is okay. ROS 2 is good. There is not that much difficulty. If we already know ROS 1, already know the migration will be smooth. But only difficulty that I am finding with ROS 2 is the community is actually growing. It's not a very big community for ROS 2. And also, like if you simply search an issue in Google, you may not land on the exact answer, but in case of ROS 1, we will get the exact solution. So these are the issues that I am facing, and the stability bugs are there. I have to admit that, but over the time it will be stable, and the future will be ROS 2. But make sure you know the legacy framework, that is ROS 1. So yeah, and the main challenges, like if you're working with the self-driving cars and all, then I guess we have to dig deep. Like we may have to find a good DDS, and we may have to tune the DDS to get the maximum performance or reliable performance. So in that time, during that time, I suspect like whether we will get a good support from the community, because very few people are working on these high-end domains. People are working it, but they will not reveal their data. I mean, data in the sense like if Bharat is working on some self-driving car technology using ROS 2 in a company, then you can't reveal all the information. You may be finding a lot of details, a lot of bugs, you may be solving it, but you may not be contributing to the open source. So currently the scenario is a lot of products are working on the ROS 2, but mostly it's closed. I mean, they are not putting all the tutorial on web because of the restriction, but works are happening. So these things can affect if you are working on a very high end projects. Okay, support from the community. Okay, yep. So Tejas is having a question like, is there going to increase in demand of ROS 2 developers? Can you name some companies hiring ROS 2 developers remote? Yeah. So from my experience, I think that demand is actually growing. Like mainly the demand is in porting from ROS 1 to ROS 2 migration. There is a demand in that, and some companies like they already ported. They have module development, like maybe specific modules in ROS 2. There are requirement. So I think in future, or I mean, at the present itself, the companies who are looking for robotics engineers, they will demand for ROS 1 and ROS 2 for sure, because they already know they have to migrate. Even if they are working in ROS 1, they know they have to migrate. So the knowledge, these two, ROS 1 and ROS 2, is mandatory. And the remote work, that is the one challenge, ROS 2 developers remote. So the people that using ROS 2, mostly they are working on a product. Okay, like a robot. It can be a warehouse robot or some drones or something. In that case, a physical presence is mostly needed, because we have to closely interact with the robot. Then only we will get the maximum output or throughput. So most of the companies will demand a physical presence because you can work. But some companies may send their product. But again, if the product is very small, they can send. Or maybe I can give an example. If you are working on Intel, okay, Intel, there is Intel RealSense, right? So they are using ROS 2. Intel is using ROS 2 for creating the driver of RealSense in ROS 2. Okay, they are creating the ROS 2 driver, so they are working on ROS 2. In that situation, they can send the module to us. RealSense is a very small camera, right? So they can send across. But again, the company will have some policy. So from my observation, currently the remote opportunities will be high if it is a startup. Okay, and some companies like they are working on the product. They will not give you unless it is completely software. Okay, it's not dependent on the hardware. Okay, but again, this requirement can change over time. Maybe the first project that you are giving may be completely software, but then they will be calling you to come across and then work on the hardware. And the second kind of category is the consultation, or the kind of work that I am doing. We are working on the robotic software development. So it's purely software only. We don't need the hardware. If the client is having hardware, then we will be remotely supporting it. So there are multiple companies like Black Coffee Robotics from India. Robotics. Then Acceleration Robotics. I am a part of this company. They have 1 second. You can see robotics development and consulting. They are working on ROS2. You can see here. They are having a blog and all. I think they are doing good work. And also the Acceleration Robotics, they are doing great. They have some acceleration modules. And they're working on mainly on the ROS2 based software. Okay, so they have consulting. Okay, so this is what I mentioned about the consultation. Okay, so this is a leadership team. So these kind of companies may provide the remote opportunities, but if you take an average, I will not say most of the companies will provide the remote role. Okay, Tejas, I think you got my point. By the way, Tejas is also like working along with me for some projects remotely, but the remote opportunities, like the companies are less here. The robotic software development companies are less here. And mostly people prefer, even for the development consulting companies, they will, I mean, depends on the founder, they will prefer the on-site presence because that is more productive. By the way, productive in the sense, I don't know, like we will have close interactions and all, so it will be much better, I guess. Yeah, so it depends on the founders. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I hope that is clear to you, Tejas. Yeah. Okay, so now I think we can conclude, and next session we can plan for some hands-on. So let me see the Friday and Saturday mostly. I don't know. I will announce anyway. Okay. Okay, guys. So thanks for attending. See you next week, and have a nice week ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. See you next week, guys. Bye. Bye, everyone.